Alright, should have video and audio. Get all my stuff together, and then I'll leave. This is my second video, and first video turned out okay. This video, what I wanted to do is I wanted to take some time and go over the FZ6R as a platform, or what I feel about it. As a platform, what I feel about it, my experiences so far, and where I think it should go, and kind of touch base there. So I've owned my bike, the FZ6R, 2011, for about 2 years now, a little over 2 years, and I had 1,000 miles on it when I bought it, 1046, and now it's got 11,836 on it. And I think I mentioned this a little bit in the first video. You know, I like it. It's a nice bike. It's a kind of a do-it-all bike. It's not as much of a do-it-all bike as a SV650 would be. I think the SV650 is kind of a jack of all trades, kind of a Swiss Army knife of a motorcycle. But the FZ6R really isn't bad. It's very soft out of the box. And when I mean soft, I mean it's, you know, a forgiving throttle. There's not a lot of power available for a 600, and you know, considered a 600 in a sport bike class, which is really not catered for, but kind of looks sporty. The brakes are soft. You know, I've got steel lines on mine now, steel front and rear. I haven't changed the pads out just yet, but I've got EBC pads, double H centered pads to go on it, and the stainless lines really changed the character of the brakes. It really made it more responsive, and it gives you a lot more feedback in the lever. As far as suspension goes, I'm a big guy. I've got the preload maxed on the rear, and it's been maxed for the 2 years that I've been riding it. And that's something I definitely want to do, is to get the suspension tuned for me and go with the Race Tech options. I've looked at Race Tech and what I needed to do and the products that I needed to get for that. But I've yet to do that. Time and money have been an issue with all that. But that'll be something that, you know, when it gets time to go to the track, that will benefit me greatly, is having the bike set up for my weight. And, you know, just being safe, even for the street, not just the track, but for the street, because, I mean, anything to maximize traction is going to make me safer. But I guess my overall thought and opinion on the bike, and I'll get, before I get into that, I'll preface a little bit to say, you know, I haven't ridden a whole lot of bikes in my experience, but I've ridden a few for short distances. I've ridden my wife's Scrambler 62. I've ridden her Ninja 400 a little bit, not terribly much at all. I was fortunate enough to ride a BMW S1000RR from a friend, and also demo a Daytona 675R from a local dealership here. So I know how different bikes can feel, you know, going from one to another. You guys text him. But so with all that being said, this is how I feel about the FZ6R. FZ6R is, and I don't like the term beginner bike at all. So I'll just speak in generalities as terms of, you know, what kind of a bike is it? It's an in-betweener bike, in my opinion. You know, Yamaha took a detuned R6 motor, you know, put fairings on it, and gave it a title, FZ6R. And when they did that, they made the bike appeal to those of us who enjoy riding sport, or want to ride sport bikes and get into that super sport world, without breaking the bank. Now, with how they did that, they it kind of took advantage of that stigma a little bit, I think, as far as, you know, adding the fairings and making it look fast, and while not providing the kind of power that a sport bike, I'll say, should have or could have. You know, and with all that being said, you know, sport bikes like a Ninja 400, Ninja 300s, they're absolutely capable machines, and they just don't have a lot of top end. They're great little bikes to play around with, flip around and have fun. And I've seen a couple Ken Condon videos that have an RC 390 in the black group of track days. So I mean, they're capable bikes. No questions asked whatsoever. They're ready to do whatever you want them to do. So with that being said, the FZ6R market, I think, is a lot bigger in other countries, out in Australia, in Europe, and places like that. I think in Australia you have to ride with a certain license for a while. Some countries, I mean, most countries do, I think. But it has a bigger following elsewhere other than the United States. So with that, you know, the United States aftermarket market, if you will, is not present really for the bike. So that makes it a challenge sometimes. So when Yamaha decided that when they released this bike and they discontinued the actual FZ6 minus the R, the FZ6 minus R was a much more powerful machine. It had 90, 92, 98 something horsepower, I think. I think that was crank, I'm not sure, but it was much more powerful. You know, it had a 180 rear tire. It went to an aluminum frame. It was just but it was more suited for touring as far as the position, the looks. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. Here's the disclaimer. The FZ6 was downright ugly, in my opinion. It was just ugly. It looked like a toad that just was deformed. So that's my opinion on the aesthetics of it. But as far as the machine goes, from the tank back, it was a beautiful machine. From the tank forward, goodness gracious, come on. But with the FZ6R, the aesthetics were there, but the platform isn't quite there as far as super sport performance. But then again, it's not tailored to be a super sport. So it's a really good in-betweener. You pick this bike up out of the showroom floor. It's got a bar on it. It doesn't have clip-ons. It's got a bar on it. It's got an upright body position. It's got a fairly comfortable seat. You know, it comes with the luggage rack on the rear, the luggage trim around the rear pillion that you can attach a small bag to. I keep a backpack it's not zip tied, but I keep a small backpack with bungee straps held down by hooks, and it's what I need. You know, I don't need anything else, and nothing fancy. So you get the bike. It's got good enough power to where you can get yourself in trouble, and it's a capable bike in the twisties. You know, I when I had my first accident, I was grinding the peg down, and it was my fault. Now, I'm not saying it was a deficiency of the motorcycle at all, because I'd ground my pegs before. I touched them down. I'd skidded them even after taking the peg feelers out. So the bike can get over. The problem is the rider, and that was my fault. But as far as a bike, you pick the bike up. It's got a bar on it. If you want to make it sportier, you take it, you lower the front end, you know, put your clip-ons on. You can get down into a little bit more aggressive position out of the bike, stiffen the suspension up to get it tuned to your body, and then there's a company out of Voltermoto, they make rear sets for it. You can get some rear sets that'll pick your feet up and out of the way just a little bit more, albeit they're hard to get a hold of now, because I think the sole U.S. distributor stopped selling them. They're done. They're not. She shut her shop down, I think. So they're not, you know, it's kind of hard. You have to get them imported in, I believe. And there's just not a whole lot of companies that are making stuff for the bike. And, you know, you get it, throw the stainless steel lines on, Galfer, Spiegler, whoever you want to get. A stainless line is a stainless line as long as your crimps are good, quality of the steel is good. I mean, you're going to be fine for what you're using it for. The vast majority of people that use these bikes, myself included, are never going to see the limits of this machine and what it is actually capable of. I know a lot of folks, they'll change out levers, they put COG Yami levers on it, stuff. I mean, it's whatever. I mean, that's cool, but at this point, I don't see the need for them yet until I really, you know, get into it. But say you make it sportier. Now let's go the other direction. You know, get bar risers that'll sweep back a little bit further. You know, raise your seat up a little bit, stretch your leg out, because it's an adjustable OEM seat. and you can make it more of a, I think companies make bags for it, and luggage racks for it, and you get a top rack. So you can make it into a more suitable touring machine. And I mean, and obviously still do the brake lines. The brake lines are not specific to, okay, you should have a sport bike and this should have stainless steel lines, or you have a touring bike and it should. I'm all about stopping. If I know I have to stop and I feel like I want to stop, I want to know that when I squeeze the lever, I'm gonna slow down. So definitely, if you get one of these bikes, put stainless steel lines on it. First mod you do, stainless steel lines. I'm telling you, that is the most cost-effective mod, in my opinion, that you can improve the performance out of this machine. Now, I'm not paid by Galfer or anything, but if someone who works for Galfer wants to watch it, go Galfer. So with all that being said, in-betweener is what I would take this bike as, and it's a bike that you can absolutely grow into, and I won't say beginner bike, because I honestly think that if you have a good head on your shoulders, you can go out and ride whatever you want to ride, but you have to respect the machine, you have to respect your environment, and you have to respect your own limitations. And that being said, get the training, get training, but that's another video. That's for another day. So this bike is a good bike to grow into, and I think that it was by far one of the better options that I could have looked into and gone with, based on the price point that I paid for it, the situation that I was in, and growing into the bike and learning on the bike, and even being able to, take my wife on the bike when we were just getting into riding, and she rode 2 up with me. But also with the, when she gets her bike, and she'll be able to ride this bike. That's all there is to it. She'll be able to jump on this bike, ride it, and not be too overwhelmed, in my opinion, just because the way the power band is, the bike's geared. The power band's a very linear power band. The bike just doesn't wake up and come alive all of a sudden and surprise you and scare you. But the bike can get you down the road. I mean, it can definitely move you at whatever pace you would like to be moved. It doesn't have the torque isn't there of a twin or anything like that, but it's not. You get on your side, lady. But it's definitely not a bad bike at all. I really enjoy my bike. I have a lot of fun with it. It's just a great bike. I mean, I can't say enough good things about it. The bike is still very capable in the twisties and nimble, due in part to its rear tire profile and its tire profile around. It's got a 120 up front, a 160 in the rear, and I know a lot of, there was some debate on the 160, 170, 180, about switching tires, and going to a wider tire, but man, that just doesn't make sense to me. First of all, because you have a higher rotating mass. So you're going to lose out on your power there. You have a tire that's going to change profile once you actually squeeze it down onto that tire or on that wheel. So once you change that profile of the tire, your tire is going to be taller, and when you lean the bike over in a turn, you're changing the gearing of the bike by the profile. Your outer rib of that bike or of that tire is rotating at a certain speed. Well, you turn that speed, the profile as you go down, you're tiring faster, but your road speed's not turning or changing. So you increase that difference. And I think it just throws the geometry of the bike, the handling off. It throws your consistency off when it comes to the bike and your road speed and your engine speed. I don't think it's conducive. Yamaha, if they wanted you to have a 180 on this bike, they would have put a 180 on the bike. I don't think that I can undo any engineering that Yamaha put into this motorcycle and make it better. Sorry. So why'd you put clip-ons on it? Well, okay, fair enough. Good point. As far as a growing rider is concerned, a seasoned rider that's looking for high performance, you will find this bike lacking. but someone who is growing into this motorcycle, someone who is evolving with the motorcycle as a rider, that's part of changing all those parts on it, is that as you grow as a rider, you can tailor the motorcycle to your needs a little bit. There's some of even the performance mods. I know some of those guys on the forums, they're getting 70s, 80s, 80, and I think some have even claimed to push into the 90s as far as the power goes, and that's pretty impressive. But it's there. The performance is there to squeeze out what you can out of it, but you have to work for it, I guess. Thank you for watching if you made it this far. I'm sorry if this was another long video. I'll try to cut out some of the snips when I wasn't talking as much, so you get to listen to me the entire time. And my next video, I know a couple guys in the forums were saying, hey, talk about wrecking. I told the guy, I said, I don't know if I want to be a professional, or I don't want to, I don't think I want to be well-versed in what it's like to wreck. So I'm going to approach that one very cautiously, and then maybe go over the bike and start the whole track day prep. I've already changed the spark plugs this past weekend. Didn't make any videos, but I'll go over everything as best I can. But thank you again for watching. Thank you for sticking in this long. If this is your first time, check out the last video that I did. It's about more or less the same, just talking about what I wanted to do with the channel. Go ahead and subscribe if you would, please. I hope to be able to bring more content and more positive influence to the motorcycle community. Thanks again. Bye.